Hi, everybody. It's Katie, the messy gardener, the real messy gardener. I'm out in my yard today on this beautiful first week of fall in the Pacific Northwest. It's been dry for a couple of days. It's been dry today. Matter of fact, it's been 80 degrees with a light breeze, which is good because 80 degrees in the Pacific Northwest in September, the end of September, is ridiculous. We never get that. So I'm actually enjoying the day today. I thought we'd go over the first part of our episodes on how to collect the seeds from your yard or your friend's yard or whoever lets you deadhead their flowers. Okay, always ask permission. But anyways, we're going to learn to go from here, this dead little flower head, to, in later episodes, show you how to get them to these nice, dry, clean seeds to store for next season or to share. Okay, so before we get started, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing a NASA shirt. Well, I'm wearing a NASA shirt in celebration of the rocket that smashed into the asteroid during the test that NASA did to see if it would be feasible to move an asteroid into a different path if one were to threaten the Earth. So they wanted to test it to see if it would even be a viable option. They hit it. It's going to be a couple of days or a couple of weeks before we get 100%, or maybe not 100%, but a lot more detail. But it's cool. Anything NASA does is cool. I'm a space geek. I can't help it. Sorry. Anyway, so that was what in celebration of is the brilliance of NASA and all those scientists that do the really cool stuff. All right, on to the supplies we will need to collect our seeds from our garden. So, first thing I like is a paper bag, okay? I prefer lunch bags. I'm all out, so Dollar Tree bag works good for me. You want something that will breathe. You don't want anything to hold in the moisture, okay? However, if you are in a pinch, you are in a hurry, you're going to grab your clippers, you got 15 minutes, you're going to go out there and snip, 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 throw them in some kind of container, cottage cheese, yogurt, some kind of container. Yes, they're plastic, but they're open, and they will hold the seed heads or the flower heads until you're able to get them into an area they can breathe, okay, within 24 hours. All right, so the other thing you're going to need, if your plants are tough, scissors, clippers, knife. I have a hori knife I did not happen to bring out with me, but if you really had to, you could saw it, but I wouldn't recommend that. Yeah, so that's a couple of any kind of containers you got laying around. If, like I said, if you don't have a paper bag at the time, grab one of these, put it in there, and you can dry them out on paper towel or newspaper if you have to. Okay. So, what I'm going to work on today is some daisies. I'm going to show you some of my daisies. Let me show you a couple other optional supplies that I use occasionally. Gloves, if I'm messing with a lot of material. It happens to be at the height of my allergy season. Gloves, just because my hands will itch so bad. Okay, but also, for us ladies to preserve that manicure and, or you got to go cook dinner afterwards and the last thing you want is impacted dirt in your nails, right? So gloves. Any type. These happen to be thick because I was messing with my roses. Speaking of allergies and sun, because it is sunny today, and not everywhere is the Pacific Northwest and has a lot more sun than we do. So, I recommend... Now, these are a funky color just because I like funky colors. But they're called Farmer's Defense. And they're sleeves that you put your thumb through. You can put it on. They're UV rated. Help protect you from sunburn. But the reason because I have, my mother's a redhead. I have her skin. I'm a natural brunette, but of course I'm old and got the white hair now. But I wear these also to prevent the plant sap. I kid you not. I love plants. I love being outside. But if I spend 10 minutes messing with a plant, within 15 or less, I'm sneezing and huge welts on my arm, which makes weeding, now you know why I have so many weeds, makes weeding difficult because it's miserable. Okay, so I'm not going to put these on because the daisies don't really bother me. And today we're more messing up in the air because my daisy is about 5 to 6 feet tall. They're called Alaska for a reason. All right, so I'm going to have to move the camera, and please, I apologize. I try really hard not to edit because I hate it. So I try to do everything in one take. So I'm going to pick up the tripod and move you a little closer. We have some traffic on our road. They're redoing a bridge, so my road is kind of the detour right now. So disregard the cars. But I'm going to actually physically pick up the tripod and move you with me. So please pardon the jitteriness, if I can get over there without killing myself. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna walk backwards. And my tree is attacking me, and I'm trying to see, and the sun is in my eyes. And here we go. Here we go. All right. I think yep, there they are. Right over there. You can see how tall they are. I mean, how tall I am. Okay. I'm about 5'9" right now, 5'8.5". Okay. These guys are above my head. You can't even see it. All right, so we're going to take these guys today. Let me see if I can get you a little bit closer. So you can see what you want to look for is this brown. Okay, you hear that? Oops, see, that's how ripe it is. The seeds are popping out just with me touching it. So this is one we're definitely going to take. I had a huge patch of these, but I don't know if you see, I cut when I deadheaded them. I cut them down. Like I said, they're about 5-6 feet tall, but I don't cut them to the ground yet. I leave some leaves on them for them to finish photosynthesis for the year, for the season, so they can get that food down to make some nice, solid, better roots and come up better in the spring. They'll survive the winter better. Granted, our winters aren't as bad as, like, you know, the Midwest or Northeast. These guys are pretty hardy. You don't have to do anything with them if you do live in those areas. They will come up, even if it gets frost damage, as long as the root ball is still alive. You can't kill these things. I trust me, I've tried. I've ignored them. They just go. That's why they're one of my favorite flowers, because they're plant and forget. And they do get big and spread. And oh, wow. All right, so I'm going to get my snippers and my paper bag, and we're going to cut these. Be right back. All right. Since I only got a few, I'm kind of bending down here because I don't know what with my tripod's going on. But what I'm going to do, I only have a few heads here to take. So I'm just going to put it in this little fruit cup. I think this was like apples and oatmeal or something. I eat them for breakfast at work. But the plastic, look how thick that is. Put a hole in that. That's like an awesome seed starter, you know, like especially for your bigger plants like squash, sunflower, you know, where the seeds are humongous. You know, just melt a little hole in there. Boom. And you got a drainage hole. Like Rex. But I use them for everything. They store my seeds. I use them, you know, as scoopers to water my plants out of the big bucket that I make because I have too many plants inside. So, yeah, there's a lot of things you can use with these. Like I said, I'm obsessed with containers because I feel that they're a better plastic than what you get in nursery seed pots. Much better plastic. They don't fall apart. They can last you several years if you take care of them, you know. I ignore mine. I neglect mine, and they still are around. So there's a reason I'm called the messy gardener, right? Because I'm messy. Well, another reason, if you're wondering, just take a small commercial here for a second. If you're wondering why I named myself the Messy Gardener, and some of you who know me well know why, the exact reason why. But the reason, my main reason, is it's more important for me to get the plant in the ground and weed it later than trying to make my whole 3/4 of an acre ready to plant. You know what I mean? Weed the whole thing. Yeah, I'd never get anything done. So I put it in the ground and weed it later. So that's why I'm the messy gardener. Just get it done, get it in the ground, make it look pretty later. All right, commercial done. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me fix this. I notice I'm kind of, there we go. I was kind of doing this up and down thing. I don't know why. All right, so we had talked about, we had pulled this one down and see, we had seen it fall apart just by touching it. Okay, and you see some falling out now. I am actually, because she is so ready to go, I'm actually going to put her head in like that and cut her so I don't lose any of those. Okay, so I'm just going to keep cutting these, and then we'll show you what we got in here. And we'll point out some other flowers too. Put my scissors down, because these I just usually get them and throw them in here. Because that, and I know what these seeds look like. Most of my seeds, I know what I look like. So when I go on a seed safari, I do just generally bring a big bag and cut everything into it and just separate them later. It just depends on how much time I have and how I feel at that time. But, so we're going to go ahead. I try to clip as close as possible because that's less work I got to do later and getting rid of that chaff, or, you know, this, when this is cut off, it's part of what I consider chaff. So it's got to be thrown away. Yes, some of these flowers are small because I already took the big ones, and I'll show you those in the next video. When we go into the next step of taking them out of here and getting them separated, and how to identify those seeds from the chaff. So some of them are easy, but my goodness, there are some that are dust, and I just get it as close as I can and just stick it in my bottle with what chaff I can't separate and sprinkle it that way on the pot, or the ground. So it still works. So here's another smaller one. Yeah, these are small heads. They are huge when they're the fresh ones. So we got looks like 2 more. I have a hollyhock that decided to do a half-hearted effort on its 3rd year, because they're usually only good for 2 to 3. 4th, 5th year. I don't even know if you get it to come up your 5th year. Those are short-term, perennial, or biannual. They don't stay forever like daisies do. So they do have to be replanted. But they give so much seed. So, and then if you have several colors and they cross-pollinate, oh, you never know what you're going to get. It's a surprise. It's like Christmas. So speaking of crossing your seeds, I have this Alaska daisy, okay? It's a big daisy, maybe 2 layers of petals around it, right? Well, I also bought a Shasta daisy called Crazy Daisy, which gets to about 18 feet, goodness gracious, 18 inches tall, and has so many white petals that you can hardly see the yellow center. Well, I collected seeds last year, and my Crazy Daisies that I had gathered the seed from had crossed with my Alaskan. So my 1 to 2 layer petal, basically some people call it a single petal or a double petal, daisy, Alaska, I ended up with Alaska Crazy Daisies because I had 5-foot daisies with all those crazy daisy petals. So you never know what you're gonna get. So it got the height from this parent plant. Okay, the bee came along, grabbed the pollen, bzzz, and either sprinkled the pollen from the Crazy Daisy in these, or the Alaska Daisy pollen into the Crazy Daisy. Either way, I have a mixed batch. So it's kind of a surprise when I plant some of these seeds that are 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation. So anyways, you want to go around and do this to the seeds. If you only have a few minutes, just grab what you can. You don't have to grab every deadhead flower on there, just because I do, because I'm weird. But some other tips on gathering are you want to make sure you have a marker, because if you are going around and getting more than one, You're going to want to have a marker or a pen, some way to mark what these you might look at them now and go, oh yeah, that's a daisy. But once they're mixed with a crazy daisy or a different type of Shasta daisy, like Little Princess, which is I think 5-6 inches tall, if you want to keep them that size, you're gonna want to mark the bag that you got them in, right? I'll remember. Trust me, you won't. You won't remember. I didn't remember in my 30s, and I don't remember in my 50s. So just do yourself a favor and just write it out, okay? Save yourself a lot of trouble. So a couple of the other tips. I had mentioned how it should be a dry day, preferably dry for a few days prior to you gathering it. You want to, let me bring this one up. I kind of showed you, you want to make sure, let me throw these scissors down. You want to make sure it's nice and dry, dead, because you can kind of see the stem is I don't know how much you can see of that. You can see the stem is starting to die back and dry out a little bit. The center is kind of pretty much dry too. So that's a good key. If, for some chance, you live in an area like I do, the Pacific Northwest, or if it happens to have, let's say down in the south, your daily 4 o'clock thunderstorm. Well, A, get out before the thunderstorm, preferably. Unfortunately, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So if you do have to pick your dead seed heads or your dead flower heads on a wet day, don't panic. Just get them, take them in the house immediately. Kind of your best to try to separate what you can, any material like the petals, especially the petals and the stem. Anything that might still hold moisture, you want to get that down. Me, I go ahead and pull everything out until I just have an end here. I'll go ahead and do it for you here, and we'll do it more in the next video. I'll show you more. But this is such a ripe one, it's cool to show you. So I'm holding it over this so I don't lose them. Let me see if I can get this. And you see how that's just like the bottom of the seed or the flower? Okay, so we're going to get, that's all what was yellow. Each one of those little yellow things were an actual flower, separate flower. So I still have some stuck here, but basically you see it's just a disc. There's nothing left. That's what you want to do, especially if it's wet. You want to try to get as much of this, all this chaff, all this extra material off that will still hold moisture. So you want to get all that out. Let it dry for 2 or 3 days. Put a little fan on it if you happen to have one of those little, personal fans. Throw that one out. I don't need that anymore. So you want to make sure they get dried. Okay. So that's the most important part is making sure, and this step is making sure they are ready to take. Okay, now every seed head, no matter how mature, will always have some immature seeds. Okay, and we'll go over that a little bit more. But the best way, if you do not know what is a mature seed, go and buy a packet of seeds of that particular plant. Open it up, put it in your hand, and observe them. Look at them, feel them. Look at the shape, look at the texture. What you're holding in your hand from that packet is mature seeds, or what the seed company has deemed as mature seeds. Now, do not confuse mature seeds with germination rate. Not every mature seed will germinate. So don't get those two confused. It can kind of be like, let's say, for instance, a woman is an adult. She is mature adult. She is able to have children. That doesn't mean she's going to have children. Okay, kind of the same thing with flowers. Just because you got the seeds in there doesn't mean they're going to germinate. They may be mature, but they may not germinate. Okay, so don't confuse that. All right, so the next episode, we are going to go, I'm sorry, I'm probably sweating to death. We're going to go from these. I'm going to take you into the back onto my back deck where I have all my drying things going on, and we'll go through a couple of these seed heads and I'll show you what they look like. And we'll go into the next steps of how to get rid of the chaff, some ideas, an actual little seed machine my husband made me, seed sorting machine my husband made me out of, get this, Dollar Tree foam poster board, and a CPU fan, and a battery. That man's amazing. Anyway, back to these. So the next episode, we'll go over that. I'll take you on the back deck, show you everything, have a grand old time, talk a little bit about seeds, germination rates, what's an immature seed, things like that, okay? Each seed for each plant, as you can imagine, will be different, okay? So we'll learn some basic plant, your basic perennials like purple coneflower, sunflowers. Now, most of you should know what a sunflower seed looks like, but did you know there's very many different ones? They're just not all the black and white striped ones. There's white ones, red ones, small ones, big ones, some the size of your head. Well, maybe not, but you get the idea. Anyways, this is Katie, the Messy Gardener, signing off. If you have a question or a comment, leave it in the comments below. Be sure you hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. And while you're at it, if you're going to subscribe, why not hit that notification bell so you can tell every time I'm on? Yay! All right, well, it's Katie, the Messy Gardener, signing off. Have a good week, and look forward to seeing you for our part 2 of how to get seeds from here into storage. All right, guys, have a good week. Be blessed. Bye-bye.